In this video, we will continue with editing commands. We will also create some figures so that you will get a chance to practice these editing commands. In AUTOCAD, whenever you want to increase or reduce the size of an object, you can make use of the scale command. So I'll make a rectangle here by picking the first corner and the opposite corner. Create a circle. So I'll go to circle and take center radius, the circle at the geometrical center. So I'll track these 2 points. Now I'll give the scale command. To invoke scale command, you can type SC at the command prompt area, or you can take the scale command from the modify panel. Just click on the scale. Using a standard window, I'll select the entire object. Then it will ask you for a base point. So base point is nothing but a reference point on the object. I'll choose this particular point as a reference point. Now it will ask you for a scale factor. So what I'll do is, now you can see a symbol of the scale appearing at the cursor. If I want to increase the size of this object by 2 times, I can give the scale factor as 2. So I'll type the value 2. So the size of it got enlarged by 2 times. Whenever you want to reduce the size of an object, you can give a scale factor between 0 and 1. So I'll go to scale command again by giving an enter. I'll select the same set of objects. So I'll type P for previous selection. Then the base point, I'll choose this point. Then when I'm asked to give the scale factor, I'll give 0.6 as a scale factor. When I give 0.6 as a scale factor, the size of the object will get reduced by 40%. Again, I'll give enter to go to scale command. I'll select the same set of objects. And this time, I'll use this center as the base point. Now, I want to increase the size of the object by 60%. So I can give a scale factor of 1.6. From this, it is clear that base point is the only point on the object which will not undergo any change in position when you perform scaling. We also have a copy option in the scale command, just as we have seen in the case of rotate. So I'll give an enter to repeat the scale command, and I'll select the objects and I'll choose this as a base point. Now I'll go to copy option. The copy option leaves behind the original object. Now it will ask you for a scale factor. Suppose I want to increase the size of this object by 50%, then I can give a scale factor of 1.5. So you will get both the original as well as the scaled object. Now I'll undo this operation. Next we will see the reference option in the scale command. Reference option let you scale an object based on a reference scale. For example, I would like to find out this distance. For that, you can go to utilities and go to measure, and you can take the distance. And it will ask you to pick the first point as well as the second point. Now the distance is displayed here as 1354. Now I'll just escape to cancel it. Next I'll draw a line from this endpoint through a distance of 3000 units. So I'll just activate the ortho mode and I'll give a distance of 3000. So this is my reference length. Next I'll execute the scale command. So I'll click on scale and select the object. Now it will ask you for a base point. Let it be this particular point. Now I'll go to reference option. So when you go to reference option, it will ask you to specify the reference length. Reference length is this particular length from here to here. Now it will ask you to specify the new length. New length is up till this end point. So you can pick a point over here. The object got scaled in such a way that this length is now 3000 units. Let's verify it. I'll go to utilities, measure, distance, and I'll select these 2 endpoints. You can see that it is 3000. So that's all about scale command. Now we have come to the stretch command in AUTOCAD. Stretch command is used to increase or decrease the length of an object. And when you stretch an object, you'll be actually moving the various points on the object. Let's see an example. I'll draw a line using the line command from this point to this point. My ortho mode is on. Then I'll go to stretch. If you want to stretch an object, you can do that either by typing the letter S at the keyboard, or you can choose stretch from the modify panel. I'll just click on stretch. Now when you're asked to select objects, you're supposed to make use of a crossing window. In stretch command, the object selection should be done using a crossing window. You're not supposed to use any other object selection methods. So I'll use a crossing window to perform a selection like this. You're actually selecting a particular endpoint, isn't it? Now it will ask you for a base point and second point. So you are actually moving that endpoint. Now I'll give enter to repeat the stretch command, and I'll select all these objects. Now all the points got selected. Now this is a base point and this is a second point. Now you can see that using stretch you are actually moving the object because you have selected all the points. You can also rotate an object using the stretch. Let's see that. So I'll give stretch again, and using a crossing window I'll select this particular endpoint. Then base point I'll select here. Now second point when I choose, you can see that you are actually doing a kind of rotation. Next I'll create another object to demonstrate a stretch command. I'll erase this object. Then I'll make a rectangle. Lower left corner I'll pick here, and I'll go to dimension option, and I'll give a length of 1500 and a width of 500, and I'll pick the opposite corner point here. Now I'll just click to get the grip points. In AutoCAD, when you click on objects, you will get certain points in blue colors which are called grips. We'll have an exclusive video on grips later. Now I'll take the cursor onto this particular mid grip, then I'll choose the option convert to arc, then I'll turn the ortho mode on, I'll keep the cursor in the rightward direction, and I'll give the length as 250, which is half the width. Now you can see that this vertex has moved through a distance of 250 units. Now I'll go to circle, center radius, then using this center point of the arc as the center, I draw a circle. Now I'll cut a notch over here. For that I'll draw a line. Then I'll shift right click and choose nearest, and I'll pick a point over here. Then down I'll move 150. Rightward I'll move 300. Then upward I'll move 150. And I'll just give an enter. Now we have created this object. Next I'll perform a trim of this particular edge. Next I'm going to perform the stretch command. So click on stretch. When I'm asked to select the objects, I'll pick the first corner here, and I'll create a crossing window, and I'll pick the opposite corner point here in the lower left corner. Now you can see that certain points are included in this, and when I pick the base point here and second point in this direction, only that particular portion will get stretched. And the second point I'll define a rightward at a distance of 1000. It has stretched through a distance of 1000 units in the rightward direction. I can also stretch this part alone like this, or this part, or this part, depending upon the points you capture using the crossing window. That corresponding area will get stretched. In AutoCAD, certain objects cannot be stretched. For example, this circle. If I give stretch command and I define a crossing window like this, pick the first point here, and the next point when I pick here, you can see that the entire circle moves. So that's all about the stretch command. Now let's create this figure using drawing and editing commands, which you have already learned. And when you look at this figure, you can see that it is made up of 5 circles. The center point and radius of each circle is given. And this circle is kept in the first quadrant, and this one in the second, third, and the fourth quadrants. And each circle is kept in each quadrants. And if you want to see all the circles properly on the screen, you should set a proper limit. So how will you find out the limit? The lower left corner should be minus minus, because this circle has got a center point coordinate of minus 35, minus 35. So this particular corner will be approximately 35 plus 17.5, which is the radius, which is 52.5. You should give a value below 52.5 so that this circle will be well within the screen. So the lower left can be kept at minus 60, minus 60, and upper right can be kept at 60, 60, so that this figure will be well within the screen. So let's set that limit first. So I'll go to limits command, and when I'm asked to give the lower left, I'll give minus 60, minus 60. When I'm asked to give the upper right, I'll give 60, 60. Then I should give a zoom all to bring the limits within the screen. Now let's create the circles. So I'll click on circle command, and I'll choose center radius method. When I'm asked to give the center, I'll give 0, 0, because I'm creating the center circle first. Then I'm asked to give the radius. I'll give 17.5. Now I'll just give enter to repeat the circle command. When I'm asked to give the coordinates of the next circle, I'll give 35, 35. And when I'm asked to give the radius, I don't have to give it, because the most recently drawn circle's radius will remain as a default over here. So just give an enter to accept it. Now another enter to repeat the circle command. And this circle has got a center at minus 35, minus 35. And the radius enter. And next circle is minus 35, minus 35, which is in the third quadrant. Just give enter to give the radius. And the next one, 35, minus 35, which is in the fourth quadrant. And just give an enter to go out of the circle command. Now we have created the circles. Next we have to create arcs connecting these circles. We have already seen that two objects can be connected using a tangent arc using the fillet command. So in this context, fillet command can be effectively used to create this arc. So I'll go to fillet. Here the radius is given as 22. So I'll go to radius, and I'll type 22 as the radius. Now I'm asked to select the first object, second object. I've got the fillet. Now just give enter to repeat the fillet command. First object, second object. One more enter to repeat the fillet command, this one and this one. Again enter this one and this one. When you pick the circles, you should pick outward so that you will get an arc this way. But if you pick inward, you will get a different result like this. Okay, so I'll pick outward. Now we have got all the arcs. Now we have to get rid of this particular portion of the circle in between these two arcs. So as we have seen before, the right solution is the trim command. So I'll go to trim. And when I'm asked to select the cutting edges, you don't have to bother about the cutting edge because you know that when you give all, your cutting edge will also get included. So just give an enter. Now you're asked to select the object to trim. I'll select this one. I'll select this one, and this one. And just give an enter. Hence we have completed the figure. So this is how you make the best use of circle, fillet and trim commands to complete such a figure. Next we will create this figure. This figure and the previous figure is provided along with the video. When you look at this figure, you can see that we have a rectangle over here. And this rectangle has got a dimension of 100 by 85. So before we create such a rectangle, we have to set a proper limit. So I'll go to limits command. At the lower left, I'll give 0, 0 because there is no negative values in this. And at the upper right, I'll give a value which is above 100. So let me give it as 150, 150. Then I'll give a zoom all. Next, I'll create a rectangle. You can go to rectangle command and I'll click the first corner over here. Then I'll go to dimension option. When I'm asked to give the length, I can give the length as 85. When I'm asked to give the width, I can give it as 100. Now you can pick the opposite corner point over here. So the rectangle is completed. Now when you click on this rectangle, you can see that it is a single object. Next, we have to fillet all the four corners. But if you want to fillet all the four corners of such a rectangle, which is a single object, you have a special option in fillet command. Let's see that. So I'll go to fillet and I'll go to radius option. Here the radius of 10 unit is given, R10. So I'll give a radius of 10. Then we have a polyline option in fillet command. This rectangle can be treated as a polyline because it's a single object. So go to polyline option and you click on the rectangle. Now you can see that all the four corners got filleted simultaneously. Next we have to create the slot. So you can see that the slot has got a width of 15 and it has got a depth of 25. So I'll start with a line. From this midpoint, I'll keep the cursor straight down through 25. Then I'll just give an enter to go out of the line command. Next I'll go to offset command. When I'm asked to specify the offset distance, I'll give half of 15, which is 7.5. Then I'll select object to offset and side, then select object and pick a point on the desired side. Now select the center line. You can erase it because that's no longer required. Next, to draw a line connecting these two endpoints. Okay, so we have created this, the profile for the slot. Next, we have to create this circle. You know that the circle center is at a distance of 15 and 15 from both these edges. So I'll again go for offset and I'll give an offset distance of 15. When I'm asked to select the object to offset, I'll click this, then I'll pick a point on this desired side. Now I've got this point. This is a center point of the circle. Now I'll go to center radius option of the circle command and I'll choose this particular endpoint as a center. When I'm asked to give the radius, here you can see the diameter as 12, so I'll give the radius as 6. Next you can erase this object. Then I'll mirror these two objects onto the bottom side. So I'll click on mirror command. Then I'll select these two objects using a standard window. This is the first point on the mirror line. This is the second point on the mirror line. When I'm asked to erase a source object, I'll give no because I want to retain these objects. So you have got a mirror image underneath. Next we have to create the circle with a radius of 21. So I'll go to circle again. Center radius method, this mid is the center and the radius of 21. Next we have to create the slot. For that you have to draw a line with a length of 26. So I'll go to line. From this mid I'll activate the ortho, then I'll give a distance of 26. Okay, so this line is drawn. Next I have to give an offset of 9 each to get these two lines. So I'll give offset distance is 9. Select object to offset, side to offset, object to offset and the side to offset. Then you draw another circle with the center radius option. This endpoint as a center and I'll give a radius of 9 because the radius is given as 9 here. Now you can erase this center line. Now I can perform the trim. So I'll go to trim command. When I'm asked to select object, I'll just give an enter because I want to choose all the objects as a cutting edges. When I'm asked to select the object to trim, I can select these objects individually. Hence, by executing some of the most frequently used editing commands and drawing commands, I've completed this figure.